Hi, I'm Charlie Stock and this is ABC News. Following its launch in 2032, TracePod gained great momentum in becoming the main way we as humans record, store and relive memories. Trace Enterprises' TracePod app and TracePod was once hailed as the most human technology ever made. They are now facing their biggest backlash yet. Following recent headlines, Trace to start charging for memory storage, I wanted to learn more.
How has society responded to being forced to pay for their memories? How has this affected industries, and how might the government respond? In today's investigative segment, I managed to secure an exclusive interview with Trace Enterprises CEO Eva Wright and the Minister for Digital Affairs, Max Melton. Let's dive in.
Okay, Eva, let's start with the burning question. You've built Trace Enterprises on the idea that memory should be an uncommodified human right. Why are users now being locked out of their own past, having to pay to keep more than 5 gigabytes of their own memories?
Look, Charlie, we understand the transition is difficult. We really do. But these changes are essential to sustain the emotional infrastructure that underpins Trace. Like, subscription is necessary. Have a look at anyone within the industry. It's vital to keep us sustainable as a business.
What Eva is explaining is a textbook version of surveillance capitalism. As Shoshana Zuboff writes, it's a platform that depends upon the acquisition of user data as the raw material for algorithm production that could sell and target advertising through a unique auction model with ever more precision and success. Platforms like Trace, Snapchat Plus, and iCloud Plus store memories to become data that can train algorithms. This shows how our most intimate digital traces have been absorbed by Trace into a profit-driven system that commodifies the experience itself. Entire communities are losing access to their histories, their family memories, their friendship memories. What about those who cannot afford the new subscription?
Like, Trace will always remain committed to accessibility. We have kept this 5 gigabyte free storage tier to ensure everyone can preserve what matters most.
This shift that Eva is explaining exposes a deeper issue of data ownership. Under surveillance capitalism, personal data becomes corporate property. When access depends on payment or subscription, ownership shifts from the individual to the platform. This is a breeding ground for reinforcing inequalities and biases.
We are now here with the Australian Minister for Digital Affairs. How has the Australian government responded to Trace gatekeeping memories behind a paywall?
We're reviewing legislation to classify digital memories as personal intellectual property. No Australian should have to pay to access their own lived experiences. If corporations profit from memory storage, then citizens deserve ownership and agency. Your memories should belong to you, not Trace Enterprises.
The proposed legislation would grant users complete ownership of their data, making memory recordings legally inseparable from the self. This represents a decisive move away from what Ted Strifers terms algorithmic culture. By reframing memories as personal property, the bill challenges corporate data extraction and reclaims human agency over digital traces. To understand how this affects individuals in practice, I spoke with end user Bronte about her experience with the new Trace subscription model.
Hi, I'm Bronte and I'm 19. I've had TracePod for almost my entire life, but lately I've been starting to wonder, if TracePod holds all my memories, what happens to my privacy? I see headlines all the time about emails, phone numbers, passwords being leaked. Nothing feels private anymore. Like, sometimes I'll record something small, like getting a coffee at my local coffee shop, and then hours after I'm being advertised energy drinks on my Trace feed. It's almost like I feel my thoughts are being sold back to me.
What Bronte describes is the lived reality of surveillance capitalism, an economy built on turning private experience into data. A metaphor Zuboff uses is as follows. With so little left that could be commodified, the last virgin territory was private human experience. For many, Trace once symbolised freedom from digital commodification. Now we see into the not-so-utopian future of Trace. As governments rush to legislate ownership of memory, one question remains. Is nostalgia fully corrupted? I'm Charlie Stock, and this is ABC News.